ThatGreatBusinessShow.com is brought to you by De Facto Shaving Oil, the best anyone can get. Made in Ireland, sold worldwide.
Foilta and welcome to a very busy episode of ThatGreatBusinessShow.com. I'm your host, Conall O'Morine, and you can follow me on Twitter, where I'm known as @ConnellOM. This is episode 44 of Ireland's Best Business Podcast, and we're posting this on the 23rd of July 2021. We had a fantabulous response to our Facebook special with Dave O'Hora on episode 43. You should listen back to it if you want to know anything at all about Facebook. And so given that feedback, if you'd like us to do a special on some other areas of business that you feel you should know more about but are too embarrassed to ask, just send a note to producer at thatgreatbusinessshow.com and we'll do our best to bring the best brains available to talk about those issues. We might even save you the price of an MBA. On this episode, though, stay tuned if you're a woman needing female-friendly business coaching. We'll also head to Galway to hear about the fabulously named MegaFab farm and garden products manufacturer. We talked to health drinks maker JUSPY, who did the hardest thing in business, accept defeat, but kept on going. And you think your business is too small to advertise on TV? Well, oh no, it's not. And we'll tell you how to get free advertising on Sky TV. Yes, free, our favourite four-letter word. All of these great insider stories are made possible only through the support from a great Irish company, De Facto Shaving Oil, makers of the world's best shaving oil. Switch from unhealthy shaving foams to all-natural shaving oil, and you'll save your skin, your pocket, and your planet. Check out defactoshave.com.
That Great Business Show.
So let us start with the free stuff that I've mentioned. Free stuff for your business. In this case, free TV advertising worth €20,000 for up to 10 businesses. If you're a butcher, baker, or candlestick maker, and you haven't advertised on TV before, Sky Media wants to support your business anywhere across the country using a very clever piece of media kit called AdSmart, and we'll learn about that in a second. Oh, and don't worry, you don't have to make the ad yourself, as if your business is selected, you'll be connected with a creative agency to design and create your unique TV campaign. So, with more of the facts, I'm joined now by Malcolm Murray, Director of Sales with Sky Media. Welcome to That Great Business Show, Malcolm Murray. How are you?
I'm very well, Conall, and thank you very much for inviting me along to talk about this latest initiative.
You're very welcome.
Good. Thank you.
Well, no, we love anything that's free. I saw that it was free. I said, that's for us. Thank you very much. Because, simple maths, 20,000 times 10, doesn't matter if it's not real cash, it's still value. That's 200 grand. That's nice.
Yeah, I think, Sky, we totally understand that everyone, including businesses, have had an extremely tough time over the last 18 months, and it looks like we're coming to the end of that, and businesses can start opening their doors and get back to trading. And what we want to do at Sky is support 10 businesses, get back to trading, and help them by giving their business a bit of a boost with some free advertising, using our latest and greatest technology that you mentioned.
And let's talk about that, because it's clever. I love the, can I use the word microscopacy of it? How it can go down to the absolute granular level. Explain. Give me some examples of people who are using it. I saw on the press release McElhinney's of Donegal use it.
Yeah, so this is the second year of our business support scheme. We ran it at the beginning of lockdown last year. So McElhinney's used it, Gym Plus Coffee, Skin Nerd, and Quando.ie.
Skin Nerds have been on the podcast. Gym Plus Coffee been on the podcast. We love them.
Similar worlds. We move in similar worlds. And we got fantastic testimonials from them. So these are all small local businesses that were impacted by COVID, who had never used television advertising before. And I think for a lot of people, TV advertising is seen as a national advertising platform.
And sounds bloody expensive.
And sounds extremely expensive. And through AdSmart from Sky, what we can now do is take television and let advertisers use it in the same way that they might local radio, local press, or local outdoor. And we can now target homes geographically, whether that be by province, by county. We can use air code, and advertisers can advertise within a radius of their business, or we can advertise based on household attributes and lifestyle. So any combination of those.
We frequently use a bread maker as being our kind of go-to business here. Explain to me how a bread maker would use AdSmart and how they should and could apply for one of these spots.
Yeah. Okay. So I suppose 2 examples. If there was a bread maker based in Dundrum near this studio, they may want to advertise just within a local catchment area. It could be 2 kilometres, 3, 4 kilometres of Dundrum. So long as the total household population is at least 5,000, we can put your ad out in Sky households, on Sky channels, so Sky Atlantic, Sky One, Sky Sports, and just target the homes and the audience that matters to your business. So we can do location. You may have a larger bakery who is trying to target a certain household based on maybe young family. We can also just target those households whose makeup consists of young families.
How are you going to know how young the family is?
So this is where we have our own proprietary data for geography. Obviously, we know where our Sky boxes are, but we work with a third-party data company called Experian, who have a product called Mosaic. And basically, across all of Ireland, they've identified, using other third-party data sources, lots of different pockets of households who are similar. And we group those together. That sits on the Sky box, and we're able to serve relevant ads to that Sky box that then can play out during an ad break.
If you weren't paranoid as I am, it is fantastic. I mean, that is detail.
It's revolutionary for us, and certainly for television. And again, it allows us to make TV more local and more relevant to advertisers. So in terms of our business, over the last 4 years, when AdSmart launched, we are helping many, many businesses now use the power of TV to build brands, to drive web traffic, if it's an e-commerce building, to ultimately deliver their communication objectives.
And what will the 20 grand for 10 businesses get each one of those businesses? Is that 20,000 quid's worth of airtime, or does that include the creatives, or, detail, please?
Yeah, no, exactly. So the 20,000 euro is airtime value. So we do ask that whilst we can help advertisers with their production and put them in touch with a production agency, that is a cost they will cover, but we're paying for or giving away 20,000 euros worth of airtime.
So how much would it cost to have an ad made up? Because that is a cost, as you say.
Yeah. And again, going back to, I think one of your earlier points, there is a perception that to create a TV ad will cost tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands in euro. And there are examples of that from huge, big global advertisers.
And they're called the good ads, because the other ads, Malcolm, they're not very good frequently.
No, I would disagree with you on that.
Of course you would. It's your business.
Because we have we have a big bank of examples of local advertisers who have created ads
how much
for
are
as little as 1,500 euro.
Thank you. I was just going to ask that.
Yeah.
That's okay. Okay, 1,500 quid.
And,
right.
At a time when maybe local production agencies were maybe struggling for work during the pandemic and the lockdown, as I said, we've got relationships with a couple of production companies, and they're really keen because they see this as a new revenue opportunity for themselves. So it all depends what you want your ad to look like. If it's animation, that costs less than if it's, big branded.
Do you remember, are you long enough in the business to go back to Ridley Scott, the incredible film director, when he was hired by Orange? The future's bright. The future's orange. Does that ring a bell?
It does ring a bell.
I think they only spent zillions or billions on that. We're not quite in that league. What will 20,000 euros worth of Sky TV coverage get me?
Yeah, so I think in terms of, without getting too technical, some of the campaigns that we've run for that amount of money would deliver access to around 200,000 homes. So your ad play out in 200,000 homes.
Once, or in 200,000 people see it, or?
Yeah, so within 200,000 homes, you can expect at least 75% of those homes to see the ad once. And of those households that do see your ad, you would expect them to see it on average 4 times. So in terms of advertising metrics, that's quite a strong delivery of a campaign over a 4 to 6 week period, which is the duration of the campaigns that we're giving away.
This is a question that I'm asking because I don't know the answer. If you really wanted to have an impact, how often must a person see an ad?
You would probably need to ask advertising agencies who plan and apply all of the maths. But in terms of what we see, it would be an average frequency of 4 to 5 times. But obviously, if you can advertise once for 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to get more benefit and that will deliver results. But if you were to do another campaign and another campaign, that will obviously have a greater impact. And that's why you see a lot of always-on TV advertisers. So you cut your cloth according to budgets. But yes, what we did see last year when we ran our first business support scheme is we are talking to a lot of those advertisers who saw the success, and you mentioned Michael Egan's of one of those, and we are talking to them again about getting back on to TV.
But this time they have to pay.
Well, that's true, but it's a win-win.
That's okay.
It's a win-win situation because it's driving their business, and obviously it's paid for advertising.
And the process, is it time-consuming? Because nobody in business has time to be hoping, throwing a dart, hoping to win. How many applications are you likely to get, and what's the process to apply?
Yeah, so first of all, to apply, you can go to www.adsmartfromsky.ie.
You had to read that.
Not at all. Don't interrupt me as I'm reading it. /2021 Business Support Scheme.
I presume if you go to Mr. Google and put in Sky AdSmart competition, it'll probably pop it up, yeah? AdSmart, yeah?
Adsmartfromsky.ie.
Okay.
And then there is an application process. So each business will fill that application process
And is that lengthy?
No, it's not. So I think what we want, obviously we want to help businesses, and it's important for us to select the businesses that we think will benefit the most from a free TV campaign. So the closing date for the competition is the 3rd of August. So it's quite a short window.
On now.
Exactly.
And it is free, so you may as well, you're sitting in the bath or watching TV or something, watching Sky TV, of course, is that you may as well apply. Nothing to lose. And how quickly will we know who the winners are?
It'll be quite a quick process after that. I think what we'll need to do then is identify the preferred businesses.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to have a conversation with them around the production of an ad, because we'll need to talk through that process. And once both parties are happy with that, then it'll be pretty straightforward after that. Then they would need to create that ad and go through that creative process.
And we should see them on air around when?
The idea is that all of those campaigns will run before the end of this year.
Okay. Well, so peak soccer season, for example, not bad, yeah?
Yes, exactly. Okay. And build up to Christmas.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Good time to do it. Okay. Well, therefore, I'll put this up onto the LinkedIn pages as well. You have one final question to answer. Who is your hire in a heartbeat?
I did think long and hard about this. I'm going to go with a topical answer. I'm going to say Sir Richard Branson.
That's not topical. I'd say at the moment, if I had a chart, Richard Branson is way ahead. Everybody seems to want Sir Richard Branson. Yeah,
I think when I haven't followed his career, and nor has he followed
what you've
mine.
Just done. I've only just thought of that.
Yes.
You're Sky.
Yes.
Who's the opposition to Sky? It wouldn't be a company called Virgin, would it?
It is.
Richard Virgin Branson.
It is. I'm not sure how linked he is with the company.
I don't think he is
anymore. But
he's
I
spending
think
his time in the Sky. You missed that chance.
I wanted to set you up for that, Connell. But I just think to look at someone who has pivoted in their career so many times, probably had a few setbacks along the way, but now to have managed a suborbital flight, it's just phenomenal.
He is a most intriguing man. Way back when I was in RTE, he used to take my phone calls from his riverboat on the Thames because he was such, I was going to use another word, he was so keen on publicity that he would take phone calls from little old me. And Friday evening...
Is he still ringing you, Connell?
He's such a bitch. He just doesn't phone, doesn't ring, nothing. And now, no, actually, I don't want to go into space. Thank you very much. I hate flying. Anyway, that's only by the way. Make sure to apply for this competition by 3rd of August, isn't that
Yes,
right?
that's
3rd of
it.
August. That's the most important date. And so, Malcolm Murray of Sky Media, thank you so much for joining us on That Great Business Show.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Gnobio, That Great Business Show.
We bring you great business insights from real businesses thanks to De Facto Shaving Solution, who sponsor That Great Business Show. De Facto backs your businesses, so please back them by buying the world's best shaving oil. And as creator Tom Murphy keeps reminding people, it's a shaving oil, not a beard oil, so it's for anyone who shaves. That's why he says it's the best anyone can get.
Backing great women-led businesses on every show. That Great Business Show.
And speaking of keeping it real and making hard decisions, we had to have a chat with Limerick-based Leonie Lynch when we read about some tough choices she had to make around her JUSPY brand of functional foods, JUSPY. But before we get down to the nitty-gritty, it's congratulations to Leonie for having been very recently selected for the highly sought-after Amazon Launchpad. It's an invitation-only 12-month program for emerging innovative brands. And as a former US president might have said, that is bigly. The original JUSPY formulation was aimed at mothers of new babies, but the new JUSPY, see what I'm doing there, Leonie, getting the name out, is for anyone looking for an energy-boosting drink to get them through the day. Leonie Lynch, PhD no less, welcome to That Great Business Show.
Doctor.
Doctor, we love a doctor in the house.
Yeah. As my kids say, I'm a brain doctor, not a real doctor.
You're a doctor of design.
Yeah, I'd like to think so a little bit.
That is what your PhD is in, isn't it?
Well, it's more brand in Department of Marketing and Branding, but I focused on visual literacy and design.
And anybody who looks at any of your collateral, so-called collateral, will see that you are dripping with design. Everything that you produce is just looking gorgeous, including the lovely little cup you just gave me. Unexpected.
Our new goblets are JUSPY goblets, yeah. So I just, what I studied in my PhD was, how the visual is important. So every touch point has to be as good as I can get it. So yeah.
You had a product called JUSPY.
I have one, yes.
You now have another one called JUSPY, but they are not the same because some time ago you decided this is not working. I'll just have to keep going.
We call it
discuss
the pivot to powder.
Well, you call it entrepreneurship because that is what entrepreneurs do. They believe in something, they keep going.
Well, you go so far and you're in so far that you can't just all of a sudden stop unless that's the right decision to do. So
who told you it wasn't the right decision to do?
There
is a phrase in stockbroking, I was in that business, called the first cut, meaning to get out, is the cheapest.
Definitely wasn't the cheapest. So the first cut was the one with no margin, all the heartache, but taught me a lot and definitely had a big part to play in this version.
I saw in something I read about you that it might have cost you a 6-figure sum.
God, it costs me, well, it depends on what you quantify in monetary terms. So I'm 5 years in September, working for myself with no income. So yeah, so if you calculate all that, I started this a month after I graduated with my PhD. So where could I have gone if I went into industry or where, so 5 years later? Because
you have a big background in brand and in marketing, yeah?
Yeah, so my undergrad or my degree was in fine art, and then 8 years later I did a master's in marketing and then stayed for another 5 years to do my doctorate. So I've studied a lot. I've been in college till I was about 36, 37. So yeah, I'm out in the real world, but the development money, everything that went into JUSPY version 1, let's say, was a lot, but it was over a long time as well.
And what was JUSPY 1? We'll call it JUSPY 1.
Yeah, JUSPY 1 was a ready to drink beverage, essentially.
And that you created because?
Because in 2013, I had my first baby. I was teaching Pilates. I was studying. I was wrecked, exhausted, not used to having so little time and energy. And then one day I looked at a bottle or a box of baby formula and it said, everything your baby needs in one place. And I went, oh my God, I need that myself. So I just started kind of mulling the idea. That was 2014, would you believe? And then 2016, I went hell for leather into New Frontiers to develop the product. So.
But there's a jump there. Well, there's a 2-year jump there. And like, what was going on in your head when you said this? You said this is a product, but a lot of people say this is a product and then they say, but it's not going to work.
Yeah, well, a friend of my husband's actually, he is a protein ice cream company, Way Hay, so Damien Kennedy.
We know Way Hay.
You know Damien, yeah? So Damien used to play basketball with my husband down in Kerry a long, long time ago. So my husband had said, look, if this is a thing you might, want to investigate more, go over and see Damien.
Let me see. Let me just check my brain. Way Hay is Richard Branson's choice. Isn't that the one?
Yes, he asked them to ship it to his island.
To Necker Island.
To Necker Island.
How would I have known that? That's back in the brain somewhere.
Yeah,
so back to JUSPY.
Yeah,
so this man, Mr. Way Hay, says...
Well, actually, I'm blaming Damien for the advice of making it a ready-to-drink beverage because in late 2015 or early 2015, I flew to London and met Damien for advice. So it was my first time meeting him. And we discussed, this is for moms, this is whatever. And he went, you know what, I'd say they probably want something that's ready to drink rather than have to make, because they're obviously busy and making up, imagine mistaking your bottle to the baby's bottle and all that. So I just didn't even think of it. And I was in that life stage. So my bias went, okay, let's jump on the ready to drink.
Yeah,
Little did I know.
You said a word there, which is so important. Your bias.
Totally my bias.
And so explain and discuss that, because this is so interesting.
And it's something that I learned through my thesis was that, so I'm a social scientist. So I believe there are many truths, not one truth. And so when I had to write my thesis, I had to say, this is my perspective because of my life experience in my shoes. And every day I go about, this truth can change because my obviously knowledge has changed or my development has changed. And that so happens to be, like the PhD journey, I'm repeating it through my startup journey, 100%. First 2 years, you're looking for your research question. What are you doing? I have no clue. And then you develop it and read more and, go through the process. And now looking back, what was I thinking? I should have stuck to the powder. I should have, maybe it would have been somewhere else by now. But I don't look at things like that.
But you can't. I mean, that's business.
Well, it's life.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Yeah.
I know. And also the recipe and the taste of it would not be what it is today if I hadn't gone through developing the product in Teagasc with Eddie O'Neill and Wendy. So if Wendy Roberts. So if I hadn't met those two people and changed the recipe 1,000 times with them and, developed the ready to drink beverage.
See, you're hopping over so many things so quickly. I find this really interesting because how did you get into Teagasc?
Oh, yeah. So I was in New Frontiers. I applied for an innovation voucher with Enterprise Ireland, who have been fantastically supportive throughout this. So it was my innovation voucher. Actually, I'll tell you how I got into Teagasc. Sorry, I have to go back.
That's okay.
When I'm stuck, and all through this journey, when I've been stuck and I haven't a clue, I go and find someone who has a clue. So my mom's friend who was studying food science in UL put me in touch with her professor. And
you better name some of these people because otherwise they won't like you.
I know. This awful Professor Dick, and I'll remember his second name.
That's okay.
But I went to see him and I sat across the way from him, across the table. And he said, I told him what I was trying to do. And I said, look, I'm stuck. I don't know how to develop this from a recipe point of view outside of the kitchen. And he said, what's the microbiological spec of all your ingredients? And I went, what?
As I would.
I've never felt so stupid. I've never felt so dumb. And I never felt that I shouldn't be in doing something that I was doing. So when I left his office that day, I was pregnant at the time. So he said, I was about 8 months pregnant. So I was probably like, damsel in distress. So he said, go down and see a guy called Eddie O'Neill in Teagasc. So I drove down to Teagasc.
You had to make a phone call or something.
I emailed Eddie.
Okay.
And he said, I'm too busy, but I'll see you. Because he could feel, I was distraught. So I went down and he said, I'm going to help you. So
cool, Eddie.
So Eddie, and he retired this year, big loss to Teagasc. But so I went down to Eddie, and Eddie and myself worked together, I'd say for about a year, over and back doing trials and kitchen trials and then production trials in Teagasc. And everybody in Teagascan and Fermoy was so good to me. Kieran Downey and everybody, they were so good. So we developed the drink down there with Wendy Roberts, who's Limerick based. Excellent people. And then we all contributed to the recipe. So Eddie was technical. Wendy, I was like, so I wanted to do a functional food. So I had to develop something that did something for people. So I didn't want it to just like, I love chocolate, but that doesn't do anything for me. Empty calories. So I wanted, and then because I was looking at the postnatal space, you need high protein, you need good fats, you need anti-inflammatories. So then I researched every ingredient under the sun that had any of those qualities and then put them on a spreadsheet, brought them down to Eddie and said, it has to be chocolate. Flavor, first of all, because you crave such sugar when you're tired. You crave sweet when you're tired. Or that's what I found. So then we just started messing around with, I think we'd 17 iterations of the product.
Now, talk to me about that, because I've never done a tasting like this. Whose choice is it? Is
Mine.
it because it does come back to you.
Yeah.
Was there one when the other 2 or 3 or 4, or however many you had, were saying, God, that's lovely, and you said, no, that's not it? Did you say that?
The first kind of, I used to annoy him so much. Eddie would say, okay, so in my experience, we'll use cane sugar. As it can't be sugar, can't be refined sugar. I'm not standing over that. Yes, but it'll be lovely with the flavour. And we developed it with a milk base because for taste. And then we said it was Wendy actually that changed the milk to coconut milk, which was a game changer. And it was Wendy that said...
But did she say, would it be really, really better and different with a coconut milk? Or what was the conversation?
I think she said, it was just like that. We were sitting around a table and it was like, if you put coconut milk in that, and it might taste like a pina colada.
Okay.
So I don't know, it was just a moment of throw out for her. So we tried that and it was like, because I always wanted it to be non-dairy or dairy-free because I knew the perception with breastfeeding moms that had lactose intolerant babies that they wouldn't drink it if they thought there was milk in it. So we replaced the dairy with non-dairy and then that's how the coconut milk. And then she said, put in some, have this orange oil because she's an ingredient supplier or and it was like, oh my God, it tastes like Terry's chocolate orange. It was off the charts, amazing. But like I didn't want refined sugar in it. And then I always used to mix cacao and coconut sugar at home myself to make hot chocolate for myself and the kids. So
hang on a second now.
Mm-hmm.
You're a designer, a Pilates teacher, yoga teacher, I think, and all of these things.
A lovely bunch of ladies.
And hang on, you just said to me, and you're also instead of just making, Cadbury's milk chocolate or whatever, you went to the bother of what to make your milk chocolate?
I make hot chocolate
using
like raw cacao and coconut milk.
You're knackered all the time, shouldn't I?
I know.
It's much easier to just open the jar and dump it in.
It's all about the taste. And, again, if you get something from food that gives you something, it's all the better.
So, JUSPY 1 is gone. JUSPY 2 has now been created. When... tell me about the Amazon program, because that is part and parcel of it.
Yeah. So can I just go back for 1 second?
Please do.
Just to finish, because in the ready-to-made drink, we had bovine collagen, right? So I've always used collagen because I hate the taste of whey protein and pea protein and hemp protein and all the other ones that are out there. So I used collagen in 2014 to switch up to get a protein after training, but didn't want the whey. So that's why that was in it. But then when we went to JUSPY pivot to powder, I changed it to marine collagen because, one, it's much more expensive, so it's better to run a business, not. But also because the people were kind of freaked out by using bovine collagen because they thought of, where it came from, even though it's just a powder. So the marine collagen is much more palatable for people's mind. So we did that. And then all of a sudden, collagen has become really trendy. So I think, again, when you're talking about Amazon Launchpad, when I was pitching to them, the fact that I had a marine collagen at a time that it's,
timing,
it's just, now 3 years ago, when I was doing Wellfest or any of the Alison Canavan or any of those shows, people didn't care. Like they just said, oh, it tastes like chocolate. And that was fine. They really didn't care about the function of it. 4 years later, people's attitudes towards functional food has gone completely different. And now, like that, for Amazon, it was innovative product, emerging brand. Okay, how can we believe you that it tastes good? And then I directed her to Trustpilot reviews, and we've 4.9% or a 4.9 star. 120 reviews. Most of them talk about the taste. Like, it's not like anything else. It doesn't taste like fish. It doesn't smell. It's so that got me over the line to get into Launchpad, I think.
And what will Launchpad do for you?
It's going to school me. So I don't like to leave college. So
you're going to have more pieces of paper than I don't know.
I know it's ridiculous. But you're constantly learning. I love learning. So I don't know what it's going to do for the business. I can't tell yet. I'm hoping it's going to put me on obviously a wider scale in front of more people. We sold the first one in Germany yesterday, first one in the UK. So
how did you sell your German one? Was that across the internet?
So it's on Amazon.
Online, yeah.
So we did, to start the Launchpad, I did 2 listings. So I did Amazon UK and Amazon Germany. And the only reason I picked those 2 is because they're the 2 biggest performance nutrition markets as well. And then obviously I'm doing direct to consumer in Ireland. But Germany, with the Launchpad, you have an opportunity to do the EU5. So it's Spain, Italy, France, Germany, and the UK. So they've kept UK in there as part of the EU, don't you? So I'm starting with those 2 because if I do Spain, Italy, Germany, or France, I have to get VAT numbers in all those countries. So all that stuff. So wherever you hold the stock, you have to have a VAT number. Okay. Which is a pain.
Yeah. But there is a company that we had on Red. Kill me now. I've forgotten, just like you. I will discuss it with you later on, that I might be able to sort out. We had them on the program here. Red Sky Europe.
They are my distributor.
There you go.
ShipBob. Have you heard of ShipBob?
Is this the...
So ShipBob are my fulfillment company. So I linked up with them 3 months ago.
Happy days.
And they're based in Red Sky, in Kilkenny.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly it.
So they ship out my product from JUSPY.com.
Well, we don't even have to discuss that part anymore.
Yeah, and we're connected on LinkedIn.
We are going to run out of time because this always happens. Now, there are a couple of other questions, but let's just keep it really short. How are you going to scale? Where are you manufacturing? I looked at the cost. Cost is not cheap for your product.
Yes, it's a premium product.
Premium product. Okay, yeah. That's the end of that. That shut me up. Right? So, how are you going to scale?
Okay, so we're going to produce more of it. I'm going to talk more about it. And everyone's just all of a sudden going to be hooked. So our key markets, we've after a year's discussions, we're shipping to Singapore next month. So starting very small there. So we're looking at Red Mart in Singapore, Amazon, the EU5 over whatever length of time, expressing interest in Amazon Launchpad US. Who knows?
Manufacturing where?
In Nutracopac in Kildare. David Carey, legend. He reformulated it with me.
There's a whole ecosystem out there that I'm going to explore now because I love this whole thing and about how the process works because I know sweet nothing about it. And then the grand vision, now that you hopefully have found that JUSPY 2 is the winner of all winners, what is the end game?
The end game is 2 things. My daughter, who's 7, is going to take it over at some point and run it, or we're gonna exit 7 to 10 years, be bought out by whoever's into powder products at the time or functional food. But this will answer your question. I think the first thing I did before I developed the product was applied for a trademark around the world that cost me about 15 grand. So I spent 15 grand on protecting the brand before I created the product. And
the brand being JUSPY.
Because I have big ideas.
Does JUSPY stand for something?
JUSPY, phonetical spelling of. Yeah,
but it's JUSP.
I know, but it depends what accent you put on it. Basically, myself, my brother, my cousin Niamh and Stephen, we were brainstorming. I wanted a 5letter.com. I wanted something I could trademark. I wanted something that had a story behind it. So my cousin said, just be. And I said, sounds like a holistic massage parlor. And my brother said, spell it phonetically and JUSPY. And then just to finish, JUSPY.com was taken on GoDaddy. So I found out who owned it, a woman in New Jersey.
Oh, and you bought it?
I emailed her. I told her what I was trying to do. She had 5 kids. Went, I get you. I'll sell it to you for 200 quid. So I got JUSPY.com for 200 quid.
Happy days. That's a good story.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, I've forgotten the next question I was going to ask you because it was... Oh, yeah. It's one that we always ask now, not the obvious one that we always ask at the very end, the one previous to that. What can Team GBS do for you? Where do you want to get into that we, our listeners, can help with?
Either service. So I think beside the coffee machine and service stations, you should be able to go in and press a button and whiz up your JUSPY shake on the go.
So Apple Green or Circle K you would love?
Yeah, so you go in and you have your coffee, you need an energy boost, but you don't want another coffee, but you love coffee. So it's that type of person. Or airports.
Okay.
Planes. Travel. Keep you going for 4 hours.
I think we can do something for you, not in Ireland, in Connecticut, because there's a man called Tony or Thomas Sheridan, who is part of the Ireland Connecticut Business Council, of which I am part, and he is the chair of all of the state airports, as far as I know, over in Connecticut. So I shall link you to him. But before I let you go, to make another fortune, is your heart and a heartbeat. Who would that be?
I was trying to think of this all week, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know, what can't I do? Where is my holes? My holes are the detail. So my sister, Sharon, I wouldn't hire her because we'd kill each other, but Sharon's equivalent. So if I could hire the fairy godmother to like give me a non-family member of my sister, Sharon, that would be amazing.
But you have to give me a name.
A name of the fairy godmother. Oh.
Must be somebody that you've seen and said, God, she'd be brilliant or he'd be fantastic.
It's too many of them.
All I want is one.
No, I'm sorry now. I actually...
You're not going to do this to me. This will be the first time ever that we haven't had a name. Say Sharon's name. You can kill her afterwards. What's Sharon's surname?
McMeal.
McMeal.
Yeah.
Sharon McMeal.
Yeah.
You have been hired.
She's the big McMeal.
Okay.
She'd put manners on anyone.
Leonie Lynch, thank you so much for joining us on That Great Business Show.
Thank you for having me.
You're listening to That Great Business Show. ThatGreatBusinessShow.com.
If you're going on holidays, don't pack big, bulky items like shaving foam cans. Switch to a nail varnish size bottle of de facto shaving oil and you'll do your skin, your pocket and your planet a big favour.
That Great Business Show.
Now, we love hearing from listeners to the podcast, and when they, that's Team GBS, have a problem, well, we like to help whenever and wherever we can, and that's how I first heard from Michael Egan when he contacted me with a business issue that he had, and I hoped we have solved. Michael is founder of family-owned and operated MegaFab, based in Glenamaddy in County Galway. They make innovative farm and garden products based on, from what I've seen, solving problems that that's Michael and his family, encounter in their own working lives. Welcome to That Great Business Show, Michael.
Thank you very much, Colin.
Oh, some voice, Michael Egan. Where did you find that voice?
I don't know. I was born with it.
Michael, you have been at this for just 3 years. You've got a big background in manufacturing with Kingspan and other great Irish companies.
Absolutely, yeah.
But then something made you set out on your own.
It did. I suppose that the idea of the Tipsy Bin came about because I was out on the farm one day helping my brother.
Well, now, sorry, you're already in selling mode. You started selling me your Tipsy Bin.
Yes.
What made you switch from being a factory manager and a mid-level executive in a large organisation to want to be on your own?
I suppose if I go back to the start of my career, I started off at the age of 18 as a machine operator in a small factory in Glenamaddy called Ron Plastics. I worked my way up through the ranks in that factory. I learned lots of skills, including fabrication of tooling, using welders, polishing, all that type of stuff. So I knew how to manufacture molds. But I also learned how to manage production. I became the production manager, got involved in HR, quality, environmental, all of the issues that go with running a factory. The company that I worked for, Ron Plastics, was sold to Kingspan back in 1997, and I became the site manager of the Glenamaddy site. Sometime after that, the MD spotted something in me that he felt that I'd be able to look after another site that was in Carrickmacross. And I spent 8 years up and down the road managing the two sites. The site in Carrick had come to the end of its natural life and was being brought into a bigger site that Kingspan had built in Northern Ireland, and there was an opportunity for me to get out after 32 years.
Hooray,
that's what I did.
You.
Yes, out the gap.
But hang on a second, that's a big jump. It's all very well for me to say hooray, because I believe and I love encouraging people to go off and set them off on their own. You've also been, and I use this word with a big smile on my face, institutionalized. It's lovely to work in big organizations when other things are done for you. there's a system, there are customers, there's a brand name.
Yes.
You had none?
No, I hadn't. No. And I suppose I recognise that in myself that I had a lot of experience, and particularly on the production and the operations end of the business, but I had no real sales, commercial marketing, that type of the part of the business wasn't something that I was familiar with. So I decided I would do the New Frontiers program with Enterprise Ireland, which I did over in Tala.
Now, hang on, because did you wake up one morning and say, I'm out of here after 32 years? Or did you say, hang on, I'm out of here after 32 years, but I've got a plan?
I had no real plan. I took 6 months off. I toured around. I drove down to Barcelona, drove around the south of France, took a month or 6 weeks to do that. Came home, didn't really know what I was going to do. A good friend of mine, Deputy Michael Morris, offered me a job for a couple of weeks, which turned into 12 months. During that 12-month period, I was out on the farm one day helping my brother, and we were going fencing. And before we went out, he said, I want to throw some nuts to the bullocks. I don't know whether that makes any sense to you, Colin, but...
Of course it does. My granddad had a farm down in Waterville and Kerry.
Yes. So he was leaning in over the bin to take the nuts out. The bin was nearly empty, and he took the last bucket of nuts out of the bin and he cursed it, which annoyed me because it was me that got him the bin, and I don't think he actually ever paid me for it. And
you're going public now, you know what this is.
So I said, what's wrong with it? And he said, you can't get the last of the feed out of the bin. And I stood back and I looked at it and I said, he's right. We've been making those bins since the foot and mouth crisis back in 2001.
Now, who's this we, Tonto?
Well, me, I suppose we was the Kingspan. Kingspan at the time introduced the first meal bin in response to the foot and mouth crisis. The Department of Agriculture had banned the use of bags for the transportation of feed because of the risk of contamination. I suppose it's COVID in the farming sense. There was...
Yeah, it's a good example. Yeah.
So we had to... come up with a bin. The design team in Glenamaddy, within a very short time, converted an old mould into a meal bin, and it took off and it became very popular. There was a number of different bins made after that, but they all had the same issue of access.
Now, the bit I wouldn't be familiar with, because I don't know the market, is like when you say it took off and was very popular,
yes.
Are we talking about 100 bins, 1,000 bins, 10,000, 100,000?
Well, there'd be, I suppose, probably about 5,000 or 6,000 bins per year in Ireland alone. But that at this stage, there are other people manufacturing meal bins as well.
And you know that we never ask about margins or profitability and all. How many thousands of bins do you need to sell to make a living? That's a gentle way of putting it, isn't it?
Oh, that's sensitive commercial information I couldn't possibly divulge.
No, but I mean, do you need to have... I keep thinking that you need items that have a very wide appeal to really make a go of it.
Yes. Well, the company is very small. Obviously, our overhead is very, very, very tight, very small. So we're
Am I talking to most of the company?
You are most of the companies that refer to you. So we're basically we have a direct sales model. We sell directly to the farmer. So
and you, in fact, when you say directly to the farmer,
yes.
Well, we had a chat before. You told me a nice story about that you actually drive into the farm yard and drop your bin there.
I do.
Like you couldn't get any more direct.
No, indeed, no. And it's a great opportunity to actually meet the customer. We were thinking of going through the co-ops initially, which would be the normal route, but it's difficult to get into a lot of the co-ops. But I think in hindsight, the model we're using is very good because you get to meet your customer, where you don't know who your customer is if you sell to the co-op. Obviously, they sell it on to the end customer. And we have, by sitting down and or standing up and talking to the farmers in the yard, you get to hear of the other problems they have, and it gives you the opportunity to think about solving those.
But you have to hawk your bins around from Glenamaddy down to, where were you when we were talking to me? I think Kenny or Tipperary somewhere?
I probably have a lot of business down that neck of the woods, in fairness, yeah. That's where the wealthy farmers live, down there.
But they're still only buying one bin, presumably, per farm.
Yeah. No, what I do is a part of the days back in Kingspan, I looked after dispatch for a while, and it gave me the insight of how to plan a route and the logistics and all that. So I quote a 5 working day lead time, and in that 5 days, I hope to build a load. A load for me is 12 bins, which I deliver with the Jeep and trailer. So it's,
It is very hands-on.
It is. It is indeed.
So now start selling me your Tipsy Bin. A great name.
Yes.
Name.
The Tipsy Bin, I have to credit my wife, Brenda. We were calling it originally the Tip Easy Bin, and she actually came up with the idea, why don't we just call it the Tipsy Bin? And in fairness, it has appealed to a lot of people, and it is a name that they remember. I suppose that just for your listeners that don't know what a meal bin is, it's an attachment that goes on to the bay lifter or the pallet forks on a tractor. And it stores about 700 kgs of nuts.
That's a lot.
It is. Which the farmer uses to give to his cattle, sheep, whatever. And it keeps the bins. It keeps the feed in the bin. It keeps it clean, dry. It protects it from rats and mice, the vermin, which are dangerous. It also protects it from the birds.
Actually, just on that, you told me that there's a massive problem. Is it this year with rats and vermin?
There is, yeah. It's I don't know if it's the heat or what it is, but it seems to be becoming more and more of an issue.
Okay,
for sure.
That's a little news item for everybody.
Yes,
they need to know.
Yes, for sure. So some farmers fill it directly out of their own silo, and some farmers go to the local merchant to fill it with the feed from the merchant's silo. And they use it basically to transport the feed back to wherever they want it, whether this time of year to be in the field, and the winter time it to be beside where the cattle are housed, So it's dimension-wise, it's probably about a metre cubed, a little bit bigger than a metre cubed, and it fits basically it's designed to fit onto the bay lifter on the back of a tractor.
Plenty of YouTubes on available to be seen.
There is. We have.
And what does it do? Because I know what it does.
Yeah.
That your other ones don't do.
There's I suppose the benefit I had of being involved in manufacturing for so many years, I was aware of the other problems that were with the bin, aside from just the access. But the main thing was the access. So basically what we did was we took a slice off the base of the bin. We found where the pivot point was. So when the bin starts to empty, it can tip forward and it lowers the entry from 3 foot down to 2 foot. And it makes it very easy to access the last part of the feed.
And that be your Tipsy.
That's right.
That's it. Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Now, you've created one lovely product and it seems to be going well for you.
Yes.
But then there are other products that you want to get out there.
Well, I suppose that this time last year, everybody was in lockdown. We were doing the painting of the house like everybody else, and we had 2 big concrete flower pots outside the front door of the house, but no way of shifting them. They were heavy. So I went into the garage and I have a ride-on tractor mower, and I was looking at it and I said, well, I have the tractor, but I have no transport box. So I fabricated an attachment to go onto the back of the lawnmower and used it for moving the 2 flower pots out of the way of the power washer. Somebody else seen it and said, look, that's a great idea. Why don't you develop it? So we did. We've come up with this thing. It's called the MoMate, and it fits onto your tractor lawnmower to basically help you move stuff around the yard, around your garden, your compost, your flower pots, whatever it may be,
And tell me about protecting these designs.
The MoMate is fully patented in Ireland.
Now, hang on, in Ireland.
In Ireland, yeah, it's a very expensive process to go down to.
That's the problem.
To patent something, I spent a full day down in Kilkenny in the patent office in relation to the Tipsy Bin, and what we ended up doing there is we have a community registered design on the Tipsy Bin which protects it in Europe.
Now, when you say protects it, what protection does it give you?
It protects the design element of it, the fact that it tips. That's the main difference that the bin has.
And what protection would a patent give you against a registered design?
Well, I'm not an expert on it, but the reason we didn't go down the road of the patent with the Tipsy Bin was purely on cost.
I was going to say pounds, shillings and pence. What's the difference?
To patent the Tipsy Bin was going to cost about 60,000, and the biggest problem there from the advice we got at the time was, not only do you have to protect that patent in it, so if somebody copies it, you need to go after them, so you're the one that needs the deep pockets.
You need the big guns behind you.
Exactly.
And so 60 grand if you wanted a patent to register?
It was only 500 or 600 euro.
Happy days.
Yeah, it wasn't.
So you've got your Tipsy Bin and you've got your MoMate.
Yes. Yeah.
What's next? And because you've done New Frontiers and EI, Enterprise Ireland, only like you if you've got a view to off the island.
Yes.
How are you going to get off the island?
Well, we have actually sold a good few Tipsy Bins in Northern Ireland and also in the UK.
How are you managing to market them like that?
I suppose that was the big problem we had was when we came up with we were going to launch the Tipsy Bin at the ploughing last year. Obviously, the ploughing was cancelled, so we were there saying, how are we going to get our product out there? How are we going to get the farming community to be aware of it? We went to a YouTuber up in Cavan, a guy called Adrian Morris. He has a fantastic YouTube channel there called I Farm, We Farm. We had 8 bins sold when I brought the bin up to him, mainly charitable sales, family and friends that had bought them. And he rang me up one Sunday morning and he says, the video review of your bin is going up he puts out a video every Sunday morning around 10:30. I call it the Coronation Street for the farming community. And so we sat down, my son set up the YouTube on the television and we watched him. I didn't know what he was going to say about the bin, but in fairness to him, he gave it a fantastic review. By the time his show had finished, we had 10 orders in. And by the end of that week, we had about 150 bins shipped.
Fantastic. Well done, Adrian. Yeah.
Absolutely. A fantastic. He's helped our business. I could not thank him enough for the amount of help that he has given us.
But that's primarily, presumably, this end of the country. What about into Northern Ireland?
Well, he has a lot of viewers in the UK.
Has he? Great, yeah. Great.
We have inquiries. I have inquiries from Canada. I have inquiries from Norway. All over the place.
What can you do with inquiries? Because you've got a big, bulky item.
Yeah. No, the problem with the problem, obviously, it's not feasible to ship to those countries. But into the UK isn't too bad because what most guys over there would be registered for VAT, so it automatically makes the bin cheaper.
Yeah.
Because if I get their VAT number and their other details, I don't need to charge them VAT. If they buy 2 bins, I can put 1 bin on top of the other. So now the shipping is
you're not going off with your Jeep with these things on the back of the...
No, we use a transport company to get rid of those. Joe Nocton, who manufactures the bin for me in Athlone, the company's called RotaFab. Myself and Joe started in Raman the same week back in the mid-80s. He'll organise the dispatch, so I actually don't even see the bins that go to the UK. He looks after them for me. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's quite competitive, really, to get them over there. The biggest problem since Brexit, obviously, is the additional customs charges, and it costs an extra €80-90 to get
on top of the cost of the bin. That's a lot, actually. That's a big chunk.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I meant to ask you, how much would a bin cost, actually?
Bin delivered into your yard in Dublin here, for argument's sake, would be €345.
I think I told you if you try to get it into my yard, you'd have fun.
Yeah,
340. Okay, plus 90. And then shipping and
So it's the UK market is a nut that has to be cracked, and we have some thoughts on how we're going to do that.
Might have to manufacture over there.
Possibly. Yeah. But,
so that's the beginning of the empire.
Yes.
What's the next big step? We all want the next big step, don't we?
Yeah, we have another product on test at the moment that we manufactured the tooling for during a few weeks back. There's a product made. It just has to go through some rigorous testing before we launch it.
Tell me what it is.
I can't, unfortunately.
Michael, you're not getting out of the sauna alive.
Oh, Jesus, the sauna is definitely the word for it. Yeah. No, unfortunately, I can't divulge what it is. But
what area? Back in farming?
It's farming, yeah. It's farming.
Where do you get all these ideas?
As I say, obviously,
just watching.
Yeah, the beauty of being on the road and driving, and you have a clear head. You're not worrying about KPIs and next month's meeting and whether
Yes, I see where this is. You've been liberated, haven't you?
I have. Yeah. So you have a clear head to think about the issues that are out there, and by talking to guys, you'll hear the problems they have, and you'll say, right, well, I could solve that problem.
Yeah.
We have another product. It's actually put it up on Facebook there during the week. It's an awful lot of people are using robotic lawnmowers now, and some people have said to me that they would like to protect their lawnmower normally from the rain, but obviously from the sun as well. So it's just a cover. So we're just we have a poll on Facebook to see what type of interest there would be, because these products they're expensive. The tooling is expensive to get manufactured, so you want to be sure of your market before you press the button.
Yeah. But at least you can do it because of social media.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
In as much as people tell you the truth there.
Yeah, exactly.
Come here, I'm going to let you loose very soon because otherwise we'll both die of the heat. But
Yes.
you're higher in a heartbeat.
Oh, this is a nightmare of a question. I've been racking my head all week. Because I've worked
Everybody says that.
Yeah.
But surely there is somebody that you know, just for fun you'd like to have working with you or whatever.
Yeah. I've worked with so many fantastic people down through the years. You know, there's many of them that I would love to have on my team. But I suppose I am a car enthusiast, and I have been following this guy for a number of years, and he has recently got into farming, and that's Jeremy Clarkson.
Oh, right,
in the UK.
I just saw yesterday, Series 2 is coming up.
That's right.
It's been commissioned, yeah.
So I love the way he thinks, and you know, he's a great wit and a sense of humour that I think could be a benefit to any team. You know?
I have not. I can't say I'm mad keen I prefer. I love cars, but I can leave him be.
Yes.
But I do understand that he has been fantastic on it.
Yes.
And people say they've learned more about farming from Jeremy Clarkson than from years of watching Country File on BBC. So he's obviously doing it well. He's a brilliant communicator.
Oh, he is fantastic. Yeah.
When he's not being rude to Irish people and stuff like that. Anyway.
Yeah, we get the chance. We'll show them how good the Irish are. You know.
Very good, Michael Egan. Thank you so much. Anybody who wants to find you will find you at MegaFab.
Yeah.
Explain the reason of why it's called MegaFab. Because I like this.
Well, I suppose my name is Michael Egan. So if you go Egan, it's Megan. So I just drop the in and put fab at it. So MegaFab.
MegaFab.
You know? Yeah.
That's great.
So it's difficult when you come up with all these names and you're trying to go to the company's office and register them. You find that they're already taken. So that one wasn't. So
you keep telling people, keep it simple.
Keep
MegaFab.
it
I remember it. And it's very, very easy, and it sounds brilliant.
Yeah, YouTube is the place to see the Tipsy Bin.
And if you look at Adrian Morris, he's the man too.
Oh yeah.
What's his one called?
I Farm, We Farm.
I Farm for you.
Yeah.
I meant to look that up and I didn't, but I will this evening. Very good.
Well.
Lovely. Michael Egan, thank you so much for joining us on That Great Business Show.
Thank you very much.
Subscribe today to That Great Business Show on your favourite podcast platform, including Apple and Spotify.
Tennis champion Novak Djokovic is an incredibly driven player who, from the outside, needs very little coaching at this stage in his career, you'd think. However, at one stage, Djokovic's career was being overshadowed by the other two greats, those being Federer and Nadal. And that is when Djokovic called in former champion Boris Becker as a coach. Because as Becker said during an analysis session during the recent Wimbledon Championship, Djokovic doesn't want to be number 2, just number 1 all of the time. And that shows that even world champions need coaching, as do women in business. I specify women because my next guest, Carlow-based Lucy Gernan, is a business and mindset coach for ambitious women, particularly for those who feel overwhelmed or stuck. And as you'll hear, women have very, very particular issues to overcome in business so that they can be successful. Welcome to That Great Business Show, Lucy Gernan.
Thank you.
Lucy, just while we were having a pre-chat there, you said something which is fundamental to the chat we are going to have. I was asking you how you got into the business of coaching, and you said, and you prefaced it by saying, if I may say so, I'm very good with people. Men, don't put that bit in. There is a complete difference between men and women, particularly on one of my favourite places, LinkedIn. We men can run the world. Women aren't so sure.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think it's just while women I think can be so confident, I'm pretty confident in what I do. See the word pretty confident? See even that little bit? But for some reason, there's just we feel this need to apologise nearly for saying that we're good at something.
And what is that about?
What is that about? Well, first of all, I think that men and women are just wired very differently. And that's scientifically proven. So now I am not a neurologist. I'm not a psychologist.
You are a scientist?
I am actually a scientist by trade, yeah. But we're wired completely differently, right? So women are wired to, I suppose, the whole nurturing, caring, our role for being on this earth is reproduction, really, and caring, okay, and minding the nest. This is all proven in the brain. It all goes back to the whole chimp paradox. I don't know if you've read that book.
Nope.
Okay, very interesting book.
The chimp paradox?
Yes.
No, I never even heard of it, to be honest.
Okay, so there's a book written by a professor in the UK called Steve Peters. And he explains how the human brain works very, very simply. He says there's like seven different areas of the brain. And the three that he kind of talks about when it comes to the chimp paradox are you have the chimp part of your brain, men and women, the human and the computer when it comes to communication. And he says that, the chimp is not good, it's not bad, it's just a chimp. But the chimp's job in the man and the chimp's job in the woman are very, very different. So the chimp's job in the woman is to reproduce, to take care of the young. The man's job is the hunter-gatherer and to kind of protect. And, he's all this research done with around brain scans to show that there are, like it's scientifically, neurologically proven that there are actual physical differences. We're very similar in the sense that the human in us is the logical, the rational, the data-driven, calm in crisis. And then the computer is the piece of our brain where we hold all of our information, our memories. It's where we store our values, our beliefs, and all of that. And we make all of our decisions by referencing back to our computer.
So tell me why, as a male, that I can run the world and you, as a female, doesn't believe that you can.
I absolutely do believe that I can.
Because that is what you teach.
A coach, I suppose, just to be clear, doesn't teach. Okay, so I think sometimes
encourage.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's my job as a coach to try and draw out, I suppose, your solution within you to help you to come to your own conclusions about what it is for you that's holding you back. So, people ask this question around men and women. Yes, we're wired differently, but I've also coached men who have had insecurities. I've coached executives that, in very, very senior level in multi-billion-dollar corporations who have the same insecurities. But I find with men don't speak about it. And men feel that it's more of a sign of weakness to admit vulnerability.
But if you go back to my favourite, as I said, LinkedIn, and look at people saying, all of their, what are you? I am a results-driven, superior being, blah, blah, blah. You don't even have to look at the name. It's a man. Because the women write their descriptions completely differently.
I don't know about that.
You look at them, I read them all the time.
Yeah, like I said, I think women, I suppose, in business, say, for example, it's a relatively new concept in a sense that only it's really in the last century that women are really starting to go, hang on, I don't have to stay at home with the children. I don't have to, scrub the kitchen sink and have my pretty dress when my husband comes home. Women are starting to realise that, yes, we actually can run the world. And I believe if women did run the world, it would be a much better place. No disrespect to the men. I'm generalising here, but...
Now, I know because you said so, you don't teach, but what do you encourage your women clients to do? What's the big turnaround that you see amongst a larger number of them, the majority of them? Their little weaknesses that so easy to fix.
Yeah, well, first of all, I wouldn't say they're weaknesses, okay? So they're all, I would say, parts of us that are trying to communicate something with us, okay? So it goes back to this gremlin concept. I don't know if you've ever heard of the gremlin concept.
Nope.
And again,
down.
This is all, I suppose, men and women. We all have gremlins or your inner critic, okay, that lives within us.
Oh, I have one of those already.
Yeah, and we all have it. And the strongest, there's a man, a researcher called Shirzad Chamine, and he has a website, if you look it up, called Positive Intelligence, and he's written a book called Positive Intelligence. And he talks about the saboteurs that basically lives within our head. And I think there's about, I can't remember how many, 8 different saboteurs, the hyper-vigilant, the restless, the stickler, the perfectionist. But the one that we all have that's the strongest is the judge. And the judge is the one that judges ourselves and judges other people. So your judge is the one, there's listeners now listening to me and absolutely they're judging. They're going, does she know what she's talking about? What's she talking about? Or can I do this? That's your judge kicking in. But if you can learn to kind of silence those voices in your head and turn up the volume on your true self, this is what I help women to do.
I saw, going down a little rabbit hole, as I do, probably the best suggestion on social media that I've read for quite a while recently is switch off those people, for example, on Twitter, against whom you judge yourself. And there you go. That was, I just said, that makes an awful lot of sense. That takes an awful lot of SH out of your life.
Yeah, it does. And I think as well,
calm down again.
Yeah, I think as well, as women, we have this comparison. And I don't know if men are the same, but I know with women, we definitely compare ourselves to others. And even me, I'm being honest, of course, I'm going to compare myself. But it's about catching yourself and about noticing that when you're feeling negative feelings, you've allowed your inner critic or your chimp to take over, basically. And to recognize there's a quote that's, her success is not my failure. And then there's another one which I really like.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's nice. The other one that I really like is, she's not your competition, she's proof it can be done. And I think if
two good ones, actually, yeah.
I think if you think of it like that, like it's difficult to stop comparing yourself, but you only need to compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not what everyone else is doing.
It's a new charge for your services, and our shtick here is FREE. So I need, in 10 or 15 minutes from you, an entire Lucy Gernon course. So give me just three brilliant ideas for your women clients.
Yeah, so I suppose it's difficult for me to so I do an 8-step to success and happiness program. And as part of my 8 steps, I will do, the first step will be like a chemistry call, because chemistry is super important when you're with a coach, because for men as well, because you're opening up, you're going places that maybe you're not comfortable going.
You're talking about the chemistry between us,
yes,
or whatever. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's important that you connect with the person, that you click with the person, and that you feel safe, okay? And then I would do like this magic mirror exercise where I get them to kind of, reflect on exactly what they want. And then the next step, which is what I'm just going to talk to you about, is the manifestation piece. Okay. So for your listeners, what I would say is, and this is what I would do with my clients in one of the first sessions, is imagine where you want to be. Okay. So say, for example, you want to be President of Ireland. Do you want to be the President of Ireland?
Do I know? Thank you. No. Pass.
For example, if you did, okay, it's really important that you start to visualize and believe that you are the President of Ireland right now.
Let me throw you. If you were to say to me, go back quite a few years, I have many problems, but one of them is I can't sing. I'd love to have been a rock and roll star. Now, wouldn't matter how much visualization I would do about that. I could play the guitar, the aero guitar in front of a mirror. That ain't going to make me a rock and roll star.
And what would make you a rock and roll star?
Being able to sing or play an instrument.
Okay, so what is it that makes you want to be a rock and roll star?
I just think that might be a lot of fun.
Okay, well then
I
maybe...
love attention.
You like attention? Okay, so see, we're getting somewhere. If I was coaching you, we would get to the root of that. But I suppose with manifestation, your goal has to be realistic. Okay, so we would like say you set yourself a SMART goal. Okay, so specific, measurable, attainable, which is the key word. It's actually attainable. Realistic and time-bound. And again, like I said, if you are able to turn up the voice, that inner voice, which is the essence of who you are, the one it's your soul, it's the reason you're on the earth, that will tell you where you're supposed to go. And it's about trying to tune out all that other bull that we allow ourselves to listen to kind of get to where you want to go.
Now, we are gender balanced, as you know, on this podcast, and we are trying to encourage more and more women into business and equally more and more women into senior positions. You mentioned attainable. I can just hear already the woman voice saying, yeah, I'd like that, but is it really attainable? How do you get people to actually, men or women, to actually believe, yeah, you could be the CEO, COO, CMO, whatever you want to be?
Yeah, well, I think there's definitely more and more women going into executive roles.
Absolutely.
And don't even get me started on this whole male, men are better than women kind of bull that kind of goes on, because I don't believe that.
It is complete bull.
Yeah, I do not believe that. I just think that, women are starting to step up and women are starting to realise that they can do it. And even, I suppose, my own experience, I have seen some incredible female leaders, like incredible executives do incredible things, and they are as ruthless as a man can be.
Now, that's interesting you use the word ruthless, because like part of the deal is that you don't really want to be like that hard nut man. Mm-hmm. Do you have to be like that? Is that the kind of good? Tell me more, please.
No. Richard Branson, I think, said, if you look after your people, they'll look after your business. And I think if every business owner listened to that piece of advice, your staff turnover would be reduced. You would attract more of the right talent to your organization. You would get the results. Like, people focus so much on problems rather than solutions. They think the people are there just to, run the business. We'll focus on the problems, let the people do the thing. If you focus on the people, give the people what they want, your business is going to explode. And I've seen it. It's the truth. So I think absolutely there's a place for, you need to be, and even as I have a lot of experience in leadership, at director level and stuff like that over the years. But you don't have to be a bitch. Can I say that word? You don't have to be a bitch.
You can say anything at all. But I like your honesty. I mean, that is really a question. Do many of the women clients who would come into you feel that they've got to have this hard-nosed or bitch quality?
Some do, right? But I suppose it's all an act, and even with a man, it's all an act. It's not the real person. And I'm all about authentic leadership, leading as your true self. Yeah. And it sounds very wishy-washy, but it's the truth. Like, you're looking at me now, and I think you're feeling like I'm completely authentic. I am completely myself, and I'm like this when I lead people too.
I was able to say that when we were chatting on the phone. Yeah. I smiled to myself. I said, "Good, we've got a good guest here." Because I knew that you'd actually say it as it is.
Yeah, exactly. So I think
you said it was as it was on the phone. As I drove along.
I just think that sometimes, like, I was always brought up that I'm no better, I'm no worse than anyone else. We're all the same. And that's why I can sit here and I don't see Barack Obama as being any better than me. I don't see, the cleaning lady being we're all the same. We all have a right to be on this earth. We are all children at one stage and we all have that voice within us. So if you meet somebody that's intimidating you, just imagine them as a child.
We are going to run out of time. Believe it or not, already. But we have two further questions. One more absolute, dead, definite, completely sure way of changing your business life for a woman. Because it is about, you are here to talk about women.
Ask for help. Ask for help, I think, is the biggest thing. I think even the World Health Organization recognised the triple burden on women. So it's the productive, reproductive and caring work. So women have to obviously have the babies, take care of the babies, think about the children, think about the business, care for other people. That's what goes on in women's heads, where a man is able to go off and do his thing in the majority of cases. So I would say, don't apologise for asking for help. Set your boundaries. Be very clear on your limitations. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that you're failing as a mother or as a leader or a business owner. It means you need help.
And who are you saying you should ask help of?
So in a work situation, I would say your team. Like, that's one thing I would see with business owners who are maybe scaling and hiring more people, or it's their first time maybe owning a business and they're not really sure how to lead because you're not taught this stuff. So, delegation becomes a problem and it's their baby and they want to hold on to it. But I think definitely use your team because it helps them to grow. It helps them to learn. That's what they're there for too.
Our final question is, who would you hire in a heartbeat? Who would Lucy Gernon hire in a heartbeat?
I would hire you to do my podcast for me. Powerhouse Revolution Radio, check it out.
You are allowed to shout out for anything that you do. So what is it again?
Powerhouse Revolution Radio, yeah.
And if you look up Lucy Gernon, Gernon, it pops up there as well.
Yes.
Because I did.
Oh, did you?
Of course
Very
I did.
Good.
That's how I knew.
Did you like my pink blazer?
I saw a lot of pink. Now, back to your hire in a heartbeat, please.
Yes, I was thinking about this. There's a girl I follow on Instagram. Her name is Catherine Casey, and her handle, I think I'll give it to you after. It's the Marketing Club or the Marketing Hub. There's a few underscores in it, but she has grown.
I think that's a big mistake. Putting underscores under anything on social media.
It's difficult sometimes, when the handle is gone. But
you make up another one. Yeah. Jack Smith, Mary Smith, doesn't matter.
Anyway, she's amazing because she's grown her Instagram following in 5 months to like 45,000, all through marketing, all through putting out good content. So yeah, she teaches people like me how to market, which is something that I do not like doing. So I would hire her in a heartbeat.
Well, that's a nice choice because that is the kind of thing we are looking for. Some people suggest, I won't say who it was, but somebody mentioned Mother Teresa and things who are somewhat unattainable. We were talking about unattainable.
Yes.
Okay. So for those who would like to talk to you, where will they find you?
You can get me on LinkedIn, Lucy Gernon. I think I'm the only one in the world, so you'll find me.
No underscores.
No underscores. You'll get me on Instagram, Lucy Gernon. Again, no underscores. Or my website, lucygernon.com. All very simple. Just my name.
Very good. Lucy, thank you so much for joining us on That Great Business Show.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it from That Great Business Show, episode 44. As always, my thanks to the team here at the now newly rebranded Dublin Podcast Studio, Ireland's best podcast studio. Station manager Peter Rice is actively looking for others, like the Love Irish Food podcast that I've recently recorded here, to use these beautifully upgraded studios in Dundrum, Dublin 14. So if you have a great podcast idea, talk to Peter. And thanks to sound engineer, it's his first day, Rob Curry, for, as always, making us the best sounding podcast around. A big shout out to Fergus Kerrigan and partner Amy of Ethos CBD, who joined us on episode 23 of the podcast. They've been in touch to say they've just launched a new range of hemp teas. I don't know whether you brew them or smoke them. Designed they say to further enhance your well-being by combining Wicklow-grown hemp with carefully chosen botanicals. And we are first with the news, as Ethos Tea has only launched today. Remember, we are a business, so if you would like to advertise on Ireland's Best Business podcast, please email producer@thatgreatbusinessshow.com, where you can find out all about our advertising packages. And if you know of a great business that should or would be featured on Ireland's Best Business podcast, please do not hesitate to tell us all about it on our website, thatgreatbusinessshow.com, or via our favoured LinkedIn page, where we have great conversations with past, present and future guests. Finally, my thanks to our sponsor, DeFactoShave.com, the world's best shaving oil. Try it for just a week, and like me, you will be a forever convert. So from me, Conal O'Moran, until next week, slán.